For all of you who are fans of the battles between big and heavy machines, this video is for you. And after the big fight between Kong and Godzilla, next on scale comes to mind is the battle in Pacific Rim Uprising. And today, we have some news that we want to share with you about what is coming up in the franchise, and how the chain of events up until the end of the second installment might connect us to what is coming. And all you have to do is enjoy as we take a first look into things. Recap. Before we move on forward and what is coming, let's dive right into action with what happened in the last Pacific Rim movie. The second movie from the franchise, Pacific Rim Uprising, ends with a major Kaiju vs. Jaeger Japan battle, but also an ending of the movie that teases that the real war for mankind's future lies ahead. Thus, next we will break down everything that happened in the last moments of the epic monster sequel, and explore what it could mean and what may be in store for us with the franchise future bringing to us yet another sequel. We can all agree that the Pacific Rim franchise sold itself on a very simple but delightful concept: giant robots punching giant monsters which emerged from the depths of the oceans on Earth. Big help was the fact that the whole project was a Guillermo del Toro creation, a project from one of the filmmakers who earned his geek credits times and times over, especially with the two Hellboy movies and Pan's Labyrinth, proving himself the right person for this kind of a gig. As an aftermath, the director took his love for monster movies, Saturday morning cartoons, anime, manga, video games, and managed to combine them all together in the franchise we know today called Pacific Rim, infusing the whole project with colorful visuals and arresting set pieces from which we can't get enough from. While the movie's main purpose was to spread a message to the whole world about humanity working together for a common goal, the story and characters took a backseat to robots punching monsters. A very simple narrative, just the way it was intended right from the start. The second installment of the franchise, Pacific Rim Uprising, had a few changes to the first one. Stephen S. DeKnight directed it, as Del Toro left to direct The Shape of Water, which proved a very wise decision on his side, judging by the Oscar sitting in his living room. The leading man, Charlie Hunnam, was swapped out for Star Wars star John Boyega, playing Jake Pentecost, son of Idris Elba's stacker from the original. The second movie was set 10 years after the original, a moment in the world where mankind lived and enjoyed a blissful life, with no giant monster attacks anywhere to be seen. Being a sequel, all of us knew that this would not last, and soon, Jake and his team had to face all the new threats, particularly the fact that someone from their side is helping the monsters who came through, what the precursors really want. Now, one of the frequently asked questions in the movies and outside of them is just what the precursors want. The franchise revealed that the Kaiju were created by a race of alien beings called the Precursors, and they are the creatures that open the portals in the depths called breaches in the Pacific Ocean, from no other place than their homeworld, the Antiverse. And through those portals, they sent large monsters who had the intent to wipe out the entire mankind and to colonize the Earth. And at the start, we saw that they were doing the job right, until Charlie Hunnam's Raleigh Becket dropped a nuclear bomb into their universe in the finale of the first movie, killing the Precursors at the time and closing every breach. It was believed that the Precursors will just keep sending big monsters to weaken humanity to the point of them taking over. But the second movie reveals that there was a method behind their madness. It turns out that the creatures headed to Mount Fuji in Japan were trying to fuse the Kaiju blood with the somewhat active volcano, an aftermath triggering an extinction event that would wipe out every living creature on Earth, terraforming the atmosphere just the way the Precursors like it. A story twist that makes a pretty strange plot hole until the second movie from the franchise comes. Newt Geisler, the chief scientist, drifts, forming a psychic connection with Precursors to see what their purpose is and stop their plans. And in the decade between the two movies, he is in charge of the program that will replace Jaeger pilots with drones. However, this hybrid drones, combined with Jaeger tech and Kaiju cells, backfire, launching an attack on the main Jaeger base, and open breaches around the world, releasing 3 massive Kaijus across the world, all coming over from the Antiverse. The story reveals that Newt is behind all this. However, it is all without his knowing. The precursors are controlling his mind, who became vulnerable after the psychic connection. What we want in Pacific Rim 3. In addition to Pacific Rim, Legendary is in charge of the Monsterverse, a shared universe that also features Godzilla and King Kong, who we mentioned before, two monsters who clashed in 2020 and have no future plans developed for when the whole franchise is taken into consideration. The crossover has been felt by the fans for a long time now, and by the looks of things, it looks like an inevitable event. But the studio's Legendary seems shy about the whole notion. Stephen S. Knight, the one at the helm of everything, confirmed that he has an idea for a potential third Pacific Rim movie that would also make a crossover Monsterverse very much possible. But he also added that it is all up to Legendary and how they want to proceed with the project. This alone appears to indicate a crossover in the third installment of the franchise, or at the very least, a project that would eventually set the whole thing up. This is a very much viable option. However, some changes would have to be made, but not some crazy ones, since the 2014's Godzilla don't seem aware of the existence of the giant creatures in the first place, despite the first attack from the Kaiju took place 1 year before. However, on the other hand, Pacific Rim also introduced the idea of a multiple universe, so all of this can be skipped in a way. As for a potential third installment of the franchise, we would definitely need the character of John Boyega, who has taken over the fans with his charm and humor, one of the key elements that carry the second movie in a big way, especially in the weaker moments. A possible return of Charlie Hunnam could prove to be a fun element for sure, but Boyega seems like it is a must. On the other hand, Scott Eastwood left almost no impression at all, despite his prominent co-starring role. Thus, sadly but true, his character would not be missed if he is not there with us for the future. One of the weird but notable things in the second movie of the franchise is the number of creatures. The Jaeger Kaiju hybrids are a fun concept. We think that we can all agree to that, but the execution is kind of forgettable, and actual, real Kaijus only appear in the final act of the show. All in all, Pacific Rim 3 would need to get much more creative with the project and bring that Guillermo del Toro flair back again, and of course, more memorable monsters on the big screen. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below, what new kind of robot would you like to see in the next movie? And what equipment would you want it to have? And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you would like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.